In today's exclusive video, we're diving into BlackRock's valuation models for XRP. And there's also a fascinating forecast that's been surfacing from sources connected to the White House. Right now, I'm tracking 359 XRP in my holdings. It's always entertaining to watch fiat leak on days like this. We're seeing a bit of a dip at the moment, but based on the current indicators, I wouldn't be shocked if we smash through the $4 mark sometime this week. Quick side note, I keep my crypto assets in top-tier institutional-grade custody. I split it between two locations, and one of them is through Caleb and Brown. Just head to XRP Wealth, 589.com. I set that up to redirect you straight to my dedicated page with them. From there, you can sign up and get connected with a personal broker. Whether I want to email or call, I can give them instructions like, sell XRP at $10 or offload half at that price. They'll take care of it. Then I get a detailed PDF in my inbox confirming the order, complete with all the breakdowns. It's honestly next level. The best part? Institutional level cold storage is included at no extra cost. They use Fireblocks, and more importantly, they tap into high-level liquidity pools, so when it's time to exit, there's zero friction. Also exciting, they're opening a new office in Fort Lauderdale soon, and I'll be bringing them on the channel to talk about it. Take a look at what's unfolding. It's an XRP stampede. Investors who've been sitting on the sidelines, watching Bitcoin, Ethereum, and especially stablecoins for years, are finally ready to jump in. Many of them held back due to uncertainty. Around U.S. regulations, we've been trailing behind globally, but that logjam is starting to break. This shift is going to open the floodgates for institutions. Think banks, enterprises, and large-scale investors. Retail users have already jumped in. We're talking 50 to 60 million Americans who already hold crypto. Now, it's time for big institutions to follow suit. And I'm expecting a wave of announcements, especially from companies adding Ethereum to their corporate treasuries. Sure, Bitcoin is still getting the lion's share of attention, but Ethereum is catching serious momentum too. As a member of an Ethereum-focused alliance, I can tell you this. The conversation is quickly expanding. Ethereum isn't just another cryptocurrency. It's the foundation for decentralized apps, stablecoins, and real-world asset tokenization. In fact, around 85% of all tokenized real-world assets are built on Ethereum. Just last month, Robinhood made headlines by announcing they're building their own Layer 2 network on top of Ethereum. Even more interesting, they'll be offering exclusive investment products through it that aren't available anywhere else. And let's not forget, Wall Street's communication strategy limits them to talking primarily about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and occasionally Solana, and yet, Ethereum is quietly becoming the core infrastructure of this new digital economy. This is all part of the broader marketing push. Down from Easy, they just dropped the update. XRP has smashed through its previous records, hitting a fresh all-time high of 3.62, maybe even brushing $3.64. XRP is basically the Big Mac of the crypto world, classic, recognizable, and everywhere. XRP just pulled off a power move. It's now worth more than McDonald's. That's right, it officially passed the golden arches in market value. Not just them either, XRP also leapfrogged American Express into it and is now eyeing Goldman Sachs. That's wild. And let's be real. If it flips Goldman, the irony would be delicious. Market cap? We're talking over $215 billion. Meanwhile, shout out to Dave Portnoy. Man's reliving some serious crypto trauma. He had nearly $3 million in XRP at one point. Price was bouncing around between $2.10 and $2.40, but he was holding. Strong. Diamond hands, right? Then out of nowhere, he gets a text from a buddy, the same guy who originally told him to buy XRP. Dude hits him with, "Hey, bad news. Looks like Circle might be doing the same thing as XRP. Total buzzkill." Dave admits he barely talks to the guy and doesn't even fully understand the concern. At that point, Dave's like, "Wait, what?" Ripple could eat Circle for breakfast. They're sitting on over $150 billion in XRP just in escrow. But the seed of doubt was planted. XRP was climbing back toward $2.40. And even though Dave wasn't planning to sell, the friend's text got in his head. So he sells, and then XRP skyrockets to $3.50. Just like that. Sickening. He blinked, and the price went vertical. It hit him like a punch to the gut. The worst part? That same friend later goes, "Oh, I didn't sell mine. I hold." For 5 years. Dave's like, then why even send the message? Brutal. Moral of the story. Don't let weak-handed advice shake your conviction. Find someone in the XRP army who actually knows what they're talking about. That misstep cost him big. Here's another pro tip. Stop listening to CNBC, and definitely stop giving attention to these so-called crypto experts. You've got to understand what's really going on. I was talking to someone in the know recently, and I told them, if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. The XRP army is nothing like the rest of crypto. Around 85 to 90% of these so-called crypto influencers, they're not grassroots voices who built something from scratch. They're part of a paid PR machine. These aren't people who went viral with honest content. These are channels that had money pumped into them from day one, manufactured to look legit. That's why you constantly see the same names pushed. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, because those projects are deeply tied to VC money and legacy financial interests. They've got teams of PR agents and media buyers pushing the narrative. That's also why XRP content consistently gets more traction. It's real. This community was built organically, not by VCS pulling strings in the background. It wasn't fabricated. That authenticity shows. And let me tell you, just like in The Dark Knight when the Joker points and says, "I know a squealer when I see one," I can spot a Bitcoin Ethereum VC shill from a mile away. I've watched this guy for years. He just happens to be ex-Jeep Morgan. Purely a coincidence, right? He's out here talking about Circle and its wild valuation, trading at something like 130 by EBITDA. Meanwhile, Ethereum, on a comparable scale, is sitting closer to 15,000x, and that kind of makes sense when you treat Layer 1. Blockchains like software platforms, they tend to get way higher multiples than something like retail. It's the same logic. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Bitcoin hit $1 million and Ethereum reach $10.15K. Because if that happens, just imagine what that means for XRP. Once you strip away the noise and see where the real signal is, you understand why projects with strong fundamentals and real use cases deserve those valuations. Even Mark Newton, one of the top technical strategists, sees Ethereum hitting $4,000 by the end of the month. But that's just the first step. Based on Sean Farrell's analysis, the real target range could be $10,000 to $15,000. And if Circle's numbers are anything to go by, that projection doesn't sound far-fetched. Oh, and by the way, that guy had a good point about gold too. But you know what else is worth watching? XRP. Here's the thing. Central banks are required to hold foreign currencies. That's just part of their role in managing reserves. But here's what's changing. Back in the early 2000s, roughly 73% of global trade was settled in US dollars. Fast forward to last year, that number had already dropped to about 53%. And this year, it's expected to fall further into the low 40% range. Why? Tariffs, policy shifts, and declining trust in the dollar. So if countries don't need to hold as many dollars, they need to pivot, and fast. A drop from 53% to, say, 43% might sound small, but that's over $1 trillion worth of US dollar reserves that need to be redistributed. And guess where a huge portion of that money is flowing? Gold. That's the reason we're seeing such an aggressive surge in gold prices right now. This isn't some short-term blip. It's part of a once-in-a-generation shift in how global trade works. We're witnessing a massive realignment of the monetary system that only comes around every few decades. We're just in the early stages, maybe inning 1 or 2. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, and likely won't start stabilizing until we see a change in the current U.S. administration. Even then, global trust in the dollar may take years to rebuild. He nailed a lot of this. Oh, and RLUSD just launched on Wyrex. The dominoes are starting to fall, folks. BitGo just quietly filed an S1 with the SEC. Yep, they're gearing up for an IPO. And that's not all. This could be the start of a wave of crypto IPOs. Buckle up. Meanwhile, traditional banks are pushing back hard. U.S. banks are now fighting to stop crypto companies from getting charters. Groups like the American Bankers Association are lobbying the OCC to block bank licenses for companies like Circle and Ripple. Wonder if these are the same players who were behind the regulatory chokehold on Ripple all along. Wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I hope the OCC gives them a big middle finger and moves forward anyway. Now here's where it gets interesting. While these banks try to play gatekeeper, guess who the American Bankers Association heavily supports? Anti-crypto Congressman Brad Sherman. And guess what else? He hired their former lobbyist, Sam Maper, last year as a senior advisor. You can't make this stuff up. Milky Bull's calling it. Altcoin season could be about to pop off. Get ready. I'll be diving deeper into all this inside the private group, including my personal BlackRock theory and why I believe there's something major happening behind the scenes. Plus, I've got a wild XRP price prediction based on recent chatter from inside the White House. You're going to want to hear this one. Join the group at Join button under any of my videos or just subscribe on X multiple ways in. Not financial advice. This is all for entertainment only. But if you like this kind of content, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed.